The Kamala Harris you saw as Vice President of the United States seems to be a completely different person. Inarticulate, lacking confidence, almost like dazed or medicated in some way. And I don't know that, of course. I'm just telling you that the impression of somebody extremely competent and confident and able to talk about their record, their recent record, even falsely, with a degree of confidence and bravado. There's a couple of dynamics there. First of all, I think the record that she's been running on is way in the past. And so it's become part of her own personal hagiography that she's, yes, this brilliant, accomplished, stunning, top cop who criminals quake in their boots to see her. That's not true, but, she's adopted it, but it's also way in the past. But secondly, it feels like she's not able to articulate herself. There seems to be a veil of inability to string together complete and coherent sentences.
She seems afraid to me. And you saw it in the opening moments of her debate with Trump, where I thought she did well as the debate continued. But in the opening moments, it's worth looking at the tape again. You see her eyes. This woman's terrified.
Maybe it's imposter syndrome. I don't know what it is, but
can you explain imposter syndrome? Well,
imposter syndrome is somebody who is successful, has reached certain levels of at least outward appearances of success, but yet is plagued by self-doubt that maybe I don't belong here.
Right.
What am I doing here?
I feel like I'm an imposter.
How did I find myself here? Like a bad dream.
Yes.
Like those dreams we all have before the exam that, you go in and you haven't studied and it's the final exam.
You're in your
That's
pajamas
the nightmare.
or something. Yeah.
You're in your pajamas or whatever. And so, but it isn't it can happen to any of us. I think we all freeze sometimes in tense situations, but we've all seen her on the national and international stage doing increasingly incoherent word salad statements. We've just seen the incident with 60 Minutes substituting a completely incoherent answer that she gave to a question with something else that she did in another part of the interview, or maybe even taped afterwards. Who knows? I have no idea how 60 Minutes came up with that.
But 60 Minutes got caught lying about the interview. 60
Minutes has been caught blatantly fixing her incoherence for her. And, that has been the case with the mainstream media. And I think this is a theme throughout her career, dating back to that 2000, 2003, as she gotten her leg up in life by shortcuts, not by meritocracy. And then she finds herself in a position that is beyond her capabilities. And then she has to lie and exaggerate to maintain that position and get to the next level. But with the assistance of the Democratic machine in California, and to be fair to her, she's not the only person. I mean, Gavin Newsom is another example of somebody who has faked his way to the top. Javier Becerra, who's in the cabinet today, is a guy who had basically 1 year of legal experience before he became the Attorney General of California. And so California's machine has produced a number of underqualified and overconfident duds. But this person is seeking the top job of the United States with an exaggerated record, with a tattered history of sordid ways that she got to where she is, of numerous legal violations that could have resulted in criminal prosecution, just the campaign finance violations alone. And so, I can understand why somebody might have an imposter syndrome when that's their history.
Now, the sad thing is California used to be famous for producing things from the world's best ag to aerospace to great movies. And now it's like failed light rail projects in Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom.
And gaslighting the voters on so many levels. So, Kamala Harris promised to San Francisco voters to get elected that she was going to be tough on crime. The murder rate skyrocketed during her years as a district attorney. And why did that happen? Well, gangs in the whole Bay Area, they do talk to each other. I was talking to a prosecutor in her office a couple of days ago in preparation for our interview. And this prosecutor said, Harmeet, these criminals, you may think, they're like, criminals, they're on the margins of society, they're subhuman. No, they're very smart. They communicate with each other. They know that if you are doing certain crimes in San Francisco, you're going to get a pass. If you're doing drunk driving in San Francisco, you were going to get a pass during Kamala Harris's tenure. If you did it in Alameda County, San Mateo County, Marin County, you would get prosecuted. So guess what? The criminals came to San Francisco to do their drug dealing, to do their break-ins, their hot prowl burglaries, their low-level offenses. Kamala Harris was notorious for being hard on gun possession by legal taxpayers, but extremely lenient to the point of multiple criminals who possess guns committing murders after she let them off with a slap on the wrist or no punishment at all. So there was a double standard there in her prosecution.
And that's a theme throughout the state where, they've legalized stealing.
Yep.
You can steal from stores. No one can do anything about it. But any store owner who tries to defend himself against violence or homeowner who tries the same will be prosecuted.
That's right.
Why? What is that impulse, that anarcho-tyranny? Where does that come from?
Well, there's two aspects of it. First of all, it's treating the successful people in society as criminals and putting them in a box. I mean, I'm a legal gun owner, and the scrutiny you have to jump through to get a gun legally in California is incredible. But if you are an illegal alien, you get a free pass. We're a sanctuary city before we were a sanctuary state. So Kamala Harris has long been in the camp of protecting those folks by simply looking the other way.
Breaking federal law, in other words.
Breaking federal law. And
how is that not insurrection, by the way?
I mean, I think the criminals have guns and they get away with it.
But how is it not? I mean, she's always running around calling all the J6, all the diabetic grandmothers languishing in prison, insurrectionists. But how is it not insurrection against the United States of America to allow foreigners in your state against federal law?
Well, I completely agree. I mean, it's even worse than that. There was an interesting situation where a criminal committed a crime in San Francisco while she was the district attorney. And that criminal was free to commit that crime because she had pushed for that criminal to be part of a program of rehabilitation. So there was a rehabilitation program where if you did some job training as someone arrested for a serious crime, you could avoid prison time. Well, an illegal alien is not entitled to hold a job. So San Francisco taxpayers, California taxpayers, under Kamala Harris's leadership, were paying for jobs training for illegal alien criminals to get out of their criminal sentences. And then they weren't even eligible to go on to hold those jobs. So one of those people committed a serious violent crime, shattering the skull of a taxpayer in San Francisco. And he was able to do that because Kamala Harris signed him up for jobs training when he isn't legally allowed under United States law.
Why would you want that? I mean, you clearly are trying to overthrow the society.
You're pandering to a particular element of society. I think eventually Democrats have wanted to legalize all of the illegal aliens in the country. That's not a secret now. They tried to lie about it in the past, but today that's a campaign promise of hers, that she wants to legalize all of these illegal aliens in the country and get their votes. So it's a long-term vote recruitment program by these folks. But look, you can't forget the detail.
So she's the insurrectionist. I mean,
she's the insurrectionist.
Trying to overthrow the United States government and system and destroy democracy and invalidate our founding documents, our core freedoms. I mean, those are all species of insurrection, it would seem to me. She sounds like a criminal.
Well, she's broken a lot of laws over the years, just in the, white collar laws, but she's enabled hundreds, if not thousands, of criminals to go on to commit violent crimes and even fatalities. I mean, there are police officers in San Francisco who lost their lives because Kamala Harris was soft on the criminals who went on to kill them as one of their dozens of offenses. There's a long trail of victims in San Francisco and now California who have suffered because of Kamala Harris's soft on crime policies. And she's lied about it and gotten away with it. And it's kind of incredible that someone who increased the murder rate by many percentage points, who prosecuted almost no violent crimes in San Francisco during the many years she was a district attorney, she failed up to becoming the attorney general, where she went on to violate the rights of criminal defendants on a much more massive scale.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.